Today I have an inspiring young man whose journey started with loss of the support system he had from a pretty young age. Picking himself up to face reality of life, struggle for survival, and finding himself. He's a content writing specialist, founder of Binary Digitals, and is creating support for other young people not to struggle with finding their path and also gaining skills in writing and become winning freelancers in the market. His name is Abdullah, and I hope you get value from this conversation.
Abdullah is currently the founder of Binary Digitals and IT Solutions, and I think the defining moment or the most important time I realized that yes, this is the beginning of reality, like I have entered the actual life room, was when I unexpectedly lost my dad when I was a teenager. So of course, when you have your parents, you have people to depend on, you don't have much you're thinking of. If you have things to achieve, it's much easier for you to do that because you have parents that are always there for you to support you, guide you, and all of that, and sponsor you, especially financially. So back when I was pretty young, I was very passionate about schooling, okay? Because there's a difference between education and schooling, and I think there's a big misconception all around the world concerning what it is. So I used to be very passionate about schooling, and it was way easier for me when I still had my parents. And when I lost my dad, I discovered I had to take responsibilities because I'm the first child of four children of a family of 6. So I had to take that responsibility because it was not an expected event. So when it happened, a lot of people, of course, will come to you, be like, they'll be there for you, they'll be this and that. But at the end of the day, once the person is 6 feet down, you are left literally with just you and your family. So that was when reality dawned on me that yes, Abdullah, you are now a man, you have to take responsibility, you have to take charge, and your priorities need to change. So fortunately for me, I'm someone that loved reading. So I had to shift from loving school itself to loving education, because the reality of life is if you want to be successful in this life, you have to be very, very educated. So one thing is to go to school, another thing is to be educated. So there's no successful person in this life that isn't educated, but not all of them actually went to school. So personally, I think that was the defining moment for me. That was what changed everything for me, essentially. So I lost my dad and I realized that, yes, okay, this is time for me to become a man and take charge of and responsibilities of things.
Let's go back to the beginning. You talked about when you lost your dad, it made you grow up, right? And then you were faced with a lot of challenges and then faced with the reality of you have to be educated. Talk to me about that struggle that you went through, the transition from when you were just a child that always sees your dad as the support system that you have. And then when he was no more, that you had to grow up and face the reality of, yes, I need to buckle up my shoes and I need to ensure that, yes, I focus on everything that I intend to achieve because this is just me alone. So you walk me through that transition and how it affected you as a child.
Okay. So after I lost my dad, the period I lost my dad was when I was in my final year in the Polytechnic, because I also have a national diploma in Science Laboratory Technology, SLT. In fact, I graduated with a distinction in first class to show you how passionate I was about when it comes to schooling. So it was just a few days to the day I was going to defend my project. And on that fateful morning, I think I was rehearsing for my presentation, my project presentation. And then I received a call from my mom's number. And then it was a man that spoke to me. So I was kind of surprised. The man just called and he told me, Abdullah, your dad is currently not feeling fine. You have to come home immediately. So I felt that was odd. Number one, you are using my mom's number to call me, and number two, you are telling me my dad is sick. So why wasn't my mom telling me such? It was quite odd, but being the optimistic person that I am, I just felt, okay, hopefully that's just what it is. And on getting home, I found a lot of people at the gates and everything. And to cut the long story short, after that happened, life began to dawn on us because I had two siblings in secondary school, and I have my immediate younger sister was in the university. So she was in the university as at that time, and I felt, okay, now what is next? So, and of course, he's very, very understanding that everyone has their life to live and everyone has their challenges. So you don't have to be a burden on everyone. So of course, I didn't have any skill. I didn't have anything. So, but I had to sit up tight. And after my schooling, then of course the next thing after you finish ND, you have to go for a 1 year IT. So fortunately for me, I got an IT placement in a company that generates electricity. So they called the place Omotosho Power Plant. So it was in a power plant. I was there. So it was more or less like I didn't have choice because I felt, okay, it is mandatory for everybody to go for IT. So as I was in the IT, it was like far, far away, thousands of miles away from where my parents actually reside. So I would go be there for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks and everything. And of course, during that time, we still had some couple of money that people gave us to like take care of ourselves and everything. But at some point, I felt, no, this thing is not working. We can't totally depend on this little money that people have given us. And that's the nature of money. Money goes and comes. So if you're not actively working to make money come in, it will definitely run out. So after a while, when I was in the IT, I discovered I was quite addicted to Facebook. Yes. And I just felt I spend most of my time too much on Facebook, which is not advisable for anyone. So I felt this one that I'm always spending my time on Facebook. I spend a lot of hours on Facebook. Is there no way I can actually monetize this thing? I just got the inspiration. God knows how it came into my mind. I just felt there must be a way I can be making money from this thing. It's literally impossible. Unfortunately for me, I had like a mentor in the Polytechnic. His name was Osman. So I actually reached out to him. I'm like, I know that there are people that make money online. So, and I believe even if you don't know how to make money online, you'll be able to like refer me to a couple of your friends that you know are good with these things. Unfortunately, it was when I reached out to him that he was the one that connected me with you. And then I got your number from him. We discussed and you were like, okay, you know about blogging, and then you can start mentoring me about blogging. So those are like the turning points in my life. And then you started teaching me how to blog. I don't know if you remember this story.
I mean, I'm hearing this for the first time in a long time, right? So it's quite interesting for me to even hear this. I forgot.
You kind of like enlightened me about what blogging was. I literally did everything you told me to do. And then the very first copy the very first article I published on that blog post was literally a copy and paste. A copy and paste content. I just went to someone else's site, copied everything, and then I published it. And then when I showed you, you're like, oh no, this is not how this thing is done. You don't just take people's stuff and then you copy it and you claim it to be yours. And then that was when I had to start learning the art of writing itself. I had to start learning, okay, if you are going to become a blogger, it is very important for you, especially if you are starting from scratch. You don't have any money to start with. You don't have any capital. You don't have any investor. You need to like learn the nitty-gritty of blogging. And one of the most important skill you have to learn as a blogger is, of course, writing. So I had to learn how to become a very good writer. Depending on what kind of blogging you are into, it takes time to earn money from blogging. So it probably can take like 6 months to a year before you start seeing financial compensation or financial reward from blogging. And with the kind of stage I was at a level that I had to start feeding my family. I wasn't at that level of, being patient for like a year before I can start earning from blogging. So I had to like find a quick fix. So because at that stage of my life, I was already in the survival mode. And if you are in the survival mode, you can't think of, how do you strategize, make your business big and all of that. You need to like find a way to make money as fast as you can. So fortunately for me, I was blogging consistently, writing consistently, improving my writing skills consistently for like 9 months. And I wasn't getting paid for it. I just knew, let me just keep doing this. Let me just keep doing this. And fortunately for me, I was able to master the art of writing to a good extent. And then I stumbled upon freelance writing.
So I want to believe that the hardship that you went through after you lost your dad kept you into a survival mode, which you were creative about. About everything that you were doing. You went into survival mode, and then you were searching for, I would say, finding your bearing as to what you're supposed to be doing, how you're supposed to be doing it, and ensuring that you connect to the right people. So it makes me want to ask them, freelancing and writing, what is the difficulty in freelancing as a writer, right? When you started freelancing as a writer, what has been the difficulty, during the time when you started having the conviction of, this is what I want to do, and how did you start?
So I think one of the difficulties people face when they want to go into the marketplace is, number one, not finding a mentor. And I believe I was fortunate enough to have found a mentor pretty early. But one thing is to have a mentor, is another thing to actually listen to your mentor. I think that was where my challenges came from, because I had a mentor, but I had this stubborn attitude of not wanting to listen to everything. Because to be honest, I really didn't know much about mentee, mentorship kind of relationship and everything. So I think the biggest takeaway I took from that experience between I and my mentor was the fact that whatever your mentor tells you to do, you don't think about it and then try to do it your own way. Whatever they tell you to do, just do it, because the route you are actually taking, the journey you are about to embark on, they have already embarked on it. They've gone through that route. They've done the assignments for you. All you just have to do is copy and paste their strategy. So I really didn't learn that right from time. So I think that was like the most challenging part of it, because of course I started earning from Fiverr, but I wasn't earning as much as I ought to have done, because my mentor was literally earning thousands of dollars monthly when he started. Like, within a month you're already earning thousands of dollars. But when I started, I was earning pretty much hundreds of dollars in month. Why? Because I didn't fully take all of his instructions. So I think that was the most difficult part of it, because of course, before you start freelancing, number one thing is, I think that's one major misconception people have. What is freelancing itself? Freelancing is, another word for freelancing is what? Just self-employed. It means if you're a freelancer, you are self-employed. If you're a freelancer, you have a one-man business that you are running. So So as a businessman, as a self-employed person, what service are you actually rendering? So in my own situation, I was rendering writing services. So before you can become a freelancer, you have to like perfect your skill. You have to own your skill. You have to be a professional at it. So whenever people come and they buy your services, they find it satisfying to actually do business with you. So one of those challenges we face is not having that skill or not mastering that skill very well. So I think my journey towards becoming a blogger helped me overcome that challenges of not knowing how to write, and I was able to master my writing skills within that period of wanting to become a blogger.
Everybody, when we have the time that we perfected our skills and then we want to take on jobs, we earn some money. So how did you feel when you earned your first money in freelance writing?
Oh my God, it was an ecstatic feeling. Like it was very, very fulfilling, because prior to that, I went for a 3-month CWS. Of course, when you're in the Polytechnic after year one, you go for CWS, and then wherever you do your 3-month CWS, they can decide to pay you or not. And this CWS, they only paid me 4,000 naira per month. But when I started freelancing, I literally earned 40,000 naira within the first 10 days. So it was like times 10 of what I used to earn as a CWS student. So it was very fulfilling for me. I was like, wow, this is fantastic. Like 40,000 naira within the first 10 days, fantastic. Okay, we are in it already. So it's one feeling I can never forget. In fact, I believe I still have the screenshot of those earnings in my files.
That would be more motivation for you to say, okay, I do not have a reason not to dip further. I do not have a reason not to continue to push hard for jobs and perfect my skills and earn more as much as I can. Well, I want to ask you, since you took on writing as a skill, what is content writing itself? Like everybody would say, let's say a lot of people would think that content writing would possibly be something else. So from a content writer, from a copywriter, what is content writing? What is also copywriting?
Essentially, content writing basically is the process of creating and publishing written content for a variety of purposes. Okay, so it is the art of creating and publishing written content for a variety of purposes, and this could include probably for educational purpose. It could be for entertainment. It could be for marketing. So that is essentially what content writing is. And I believe a lot of gurus in this industry, the content writing industry, kind of like in the writing industry generally, kind of like want to segment or differentiate content writing and copywriting. But personally, I believe copywriting is under content writing, because content in itself is like a very broad word, more or less like a vague word. So what kind of content are you writing? That is when what types of content writing do you have? So when you talk about content writing, that is when you have article writing, where you write articles, and then you also have CV writing. Aside CV writing, you also have proposal writing, you have business proposal writing, you have technical writing, and also you have copywriting. And copywriting is just a type of writing when you kind of like convince or persuade people to do what you are telling them to do. And most cases is usually to like convince them to buy your product or your services. So content writing is like what entails or carries all of them into a particular bag, an umbrella.
How do you even position yourself? Like, I'm curious about that. How do you position yourself? Do you position yourself as a broad content writer? And some people also call themselves content developer.
Yes, they do. Content developer. As in fact, what most people call themselves are content creator. So, but I believe calling yourself a content creator is pretty much vague. Yes, you're a content creator, but what kind of content are you actually creating? So you don't need to call yourself a content creator. Just be specific and let people know what you do. A graphic designer is also a content creator. A videographer is also a content creator, because designing is also content. You get, it's also something you're creating.
Yes.
A writer is also a content creator. So I don't go ahead or go about calling myself a content creator. I just tell people, okay, I am a writer. I am a content writer. So unfortunately for me, I've been able to learn most of these types of writing. Is it copywriting? Yes, I'm good at copywriting. Writing of blog posts, CV writing. So I've been able to master them. And of course, it's not a one-day journey. It's things. They are all things that you learn one step at a time.
We would say that you've written content for brands, companies, people.
Yes.
You've written proposals. How do you plan your content writing, and how do you determine if a content specifically is going to be a winning content? If it is copywriting, how do you determine if a content is going to be a captivating content?
Okay, so as a writer and as a business person, the number one thing I always target is customer satisfaction. I always ensure that I give my customer what they want, because that is the most important thing when you are running a business, your customer satisfaction. Okay, but there are sometimes, as a professional, there are some situations where you actually know better than your customers. In those situations, you only suggest to them, okay, I think we should do this instead of that. We should carry out this way instead of that. And you believe, based on experience, this is what is going to work. But unfortunately, we are already in the digital world. In fact, you'll be surprised that some customers actually know better than you do. You get, so most customers do their due diligence and they know what they want. So in such situations, the very best thing is to always listen to your customer. And I believe that is one thing that made Amazon reach to where it is today. And that is one thing I've been able to emulate from Jeff Bezos. Your customer is your priority. So when it comes to content writing, the very first thing I do is collect as much information as possible from my customer. Okay, what exactly do you need? What is the goal of this content? What message do you want this write-up to pass? Do you want it to be an educational content? Do you want to use it to sell directly to people? So once I get all of this information, I begin to do my research. Okay. You start with your intro, because that is the very first. You have 3 seconds, the very first 3 seconds to grab someone's attention. Okay. You have to master the art of writing a very captivating intro. So you do that to strategize. You divide your content into different segments or subheadings. So once you do that, you break down, you do your research, and then whatever information you gather from credible sources, you bring them together and then you put them down in your own unique manner or words. So, and then of course, when you do that, you also have to do the other aspects, which are editing, proofreading, checking for plagiarism, and what have you.
People have their different ways of delivering and measuring results. And I think this is one of the most striking things, where you have to be laser focused on what your customer wants. Suggest to them if you think you know better sometimes. Listen to them with their requests and execute it, and focus only on results. Well, customer success at the end of the day. So I think that's really commendable, because, well, people are getting smarter. Even clients, they are getting smarter nowadays, because they have access to a lot of information in the digital space that we are in. Exactly. They have access to loads of information. So you cannot just come up and just tell a person what they should be wanting while they have an idea of what they want. So I think the one of the things that you're doing very well is to listen, which is a very important tool in serving people properly and serving people well and delivering results. So based on that, when you're serving customers, when you're serving clients, definitely you have teams, people that you work with. And it's pretty difficult sometimes to deal with people. How do you manage people in binary digitals? How do you manage people? How do you manage your team?
I believe that is one of the challenging tasks any human being can take, because it's easier to actually change yourself than change the world. And in a situation where you have employees, you have workers working with you, you have to learn the art of human psychology, like how to actually undo people, how to lead people the right way. So I'll be very honest, I'm still learning. I'm still in the phase of learning, and of course I have to like find research and do my due diligence. The most important one is lifelong learning. You always have to learn about human beings, how do people think, how they operate, what motivates people, and all of that. So those are the things I've been able to put in place. And of course, when it comes to running a business, you have to lay down structures and all of that. You can't tell me you are running a business and you don't know how to manage projects properly, because, of course, I run a digital agency. You have numerous customers you are working with, and for each of these projects, of course, you have deadline, timeline, and all of that. So you have to know how to like put all of these things in place. So how do you initiate your project? You plan your project and all of that. So I had to learn project management. I also had to learn about human psychology and all of that. And I'm still a learner.
I mean, you said learning is a lifelong process, and this is one of the very important things to say, because it is true. And for entrepreneurs, it is always a learning curve. Every day you learn about new things. Many things pop up every day, different challenges or the other, which we cannot run away from, or we should always face. And then it helps us to learn more about ourselves and people, and then even the business that we are running. And it's one of the reasons why when people talk about, oh, I just want to live where I am working, I want to just start my own thing. The idea of starting my own thing, where people don't understand that it's even more challenging for you to start your own thing. So based on that, what are the things that you have encountered in running a digital agency and even managing people? What are the lessons that you've taken out of that?
I believe some of the lessons I've taken from running a digital agency so far is, in fact, the most important one is the fact that people are basically good. I think that's one of the most important lessons I've learned so far in life, that human beings, essentially, we are basically good. So once you are able to like learn what moves people, what drives people, then you'll be able to, and you're also a more compassionate person and empathetic towards people, things would go pretty much good for you. But there are some situations where you have to apply pressure, as they say, situations where you have to get them to do things, because human beings, we can be lazy most times. But so you have to. That is one thing when you're a leader, you have to like know when to be angry at the right time and when to be compassionate at the right time. You get that kind of situation. So I think one of the most important thing I've learned essentially is that people are basically good. And of course, everyone wants a good and better life. So that is it.
Before people start businesses, there is some form of characters. There's some form of traits that they carry on to start whatever they want to start. But when you eventually start, you begin to learn more about how you need to be, well, if you're not a compassionate person before, how you need to be compassionate towards people, how you also need to be a leader, because part of being a leader sometimes is, even when you want to get hungry, sometimes knowing the right time that, okay, now is not the time to say these things. Now is the time. It's the time to motivate people with the words, with my actions, right? With the words I say in my mouth, with the actions the things that I do. This is pretty much a very important thing here. Let me say, many young people have dealt with identity crisis at some point in their life, and I had a guest previously. She struggled with identity crisis, and eventually she turned that around. Well, with the support of one of the most loving mothers on the planet, which is her mother. And when she turned that around, she wrote a book so that book could inform other young people of the things that they need to focus on, the things that they need to do. So that they'll be able to go out of that identity crisis stage. So have you, at some point in your life, had the issues with identity crisis, as in, what do I need to do with my life? Where do I fit in my life, before you found content writing?
Yeah, there's no doubt about. I've actually had that phase of my life. I've experienced it. I had identity crisis, and I think it happened immediately after I left secondary school, because I was this bookworm, of course, very intelligent student and all of that. In fact, I was the senior prefect of my secondary school. And then when it was time for me to write JAM, prior to that, as a young child, I've always been passionate about computers. So I was so passionate about computers that whenever my dad wants to go to work and it was during the holidays, I would literally want to follow him to his office, just so I could sit down for hours, spend hours in front of the computer system, opening different apps like the Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and the likes, just to sit down in front of the computer and then type out my name literally. In fact, the very first thing I can remember very vividly, the very first thing I did on computer was type out my name. And there was these days I would literally go to my dad's office and then go to, whenever I noticed the director was not around, go to his office, open the system, and then just keep typing. So it was right from childhood. I had always known, okay, I'll be passionate about anything that has to do with the computer system itself. So fast forward to when I finished secondary school, and then I was about to take JAM, and my dad had to sit me down and discuss with me. And of course, every parent is, how do I put it? They always want what is best for their kids. So as at that point, my dad felt, okay, I don't have to waste my intelligence. I am this kind of person that is capable of studying medicine and surgery. And if there's one major problem we have in Nigeria, it is unemployment. The unemployment rate in Nigeria is extremely, extremely high. So, and of course, I wouldn't blame my dad for him sitting me down and telling me, Abdullah, see, the computer science you say you want to go and study, the kind of life we are now, anyone can literally go outside the four walls of school and study computer science and become a master of it. So why do you have to go and waste that number of years in school when you can actually go and study something like engineering or medicine and surgery, because you are actually capable of doing that? So my dad spoke to me, and of course I wasn't enlightened enough. I believed everything he said, and I had to change my mind, because I also believed in myself. I felt, oh, yes, I can do this thing. If someone believes I can become a medical doctor, I can also become a medical doctor. And at some point, things were in fact, I get admission to study computer science in the polytechnic I went to, but because I already changed my mind into becoming a medical doctor, I had to change my course to science laboratory technology, because it was somewhat related to what's it called, medicine and surgery. And of course, I graduated with the distinction. But after a while, I kept writing JAM to go and study medicine and surgery, but it wasn't going the way I planned. Wrote JAM the first time, didn't get an admission. Second time, didn't get an admission. And then at some point, I had to sit myself down. So this was like even after I'd lost my dad. Even after I'd lost him, I still wanted to become a medical doctor. Why? Because that was someone else's dream for me and not my own personal dream that I've always had since I was a kid, which was becoming a computer scientist. So at some point after I'd tried everything, I kept failing JAM, unable to gain admission. Not just JAM, post CTME. Okay, I used to pass JAM. Oh, JAM was never the issue, but CCME was always like the blockage for me towards going to study what's it called? Medicine and surgery. So at some point I had to sit myself down and ask myself, Abdullah, do you actually want this thing? Do you actually want to pursue this thing? And then this stage you can't afford to go and spend 7 to 10 years in the university. When you have younger siblings you have to cater for, you have your entire family to take care of. And of course, those that study medicine and surgery is actually a full-time job. You have to like dedicate your life to studying medicine and surgery. You can't afford to like have like a side hustle or something like that. So I had to sit myself down. Is this what you actually want for yourself? Do you actually want to become a medical or a computer scientist? So I think that was like a challenging phase for me. So coupled with that, I was also learning to become a writer and all of that. So it was really, really challenging for me. But at the end of the day, I decided to go back to school to study computer science. In fact, it reminds me because I listened to the snippet of the interview you had with Mr. Sonny Moses, where he was discussing about schooling and education. And one thing I've discovered in life is, yes, education is very, very important if you want to be successful in life. And if you want to be successful in life, you have to look at the things that successful people are what's doing. You also have to emulate them. Fine, there are countless motivational speakers that will tell you school is a scam, read these speakers. But don't listen to them. Do what successful people are doing. Fortunately for me at that point, I was the power plant I was working at, I did my IT, was owned by Davido's father. Was owned by Mr. Adeleke. And I was fortunate enough to meet people that were pretty much close to Davido. And then they were narrating stories of how he made sure his son finished university. And so I sat down one day, I was like, okay, I can choose not to go to university. Yes, that's fine. I can just try to master my digital skills and then start up my business and all that. But I was like, okay, if successful people are actually making it compulsory for their children to go to university, if these people also are ensuring they go to school, they are educated, then who am I to tell myself not to go to school? So after my IT, I decided, okay, Abdullah, see, you don't have any choice, you have to go back to school. And what is it you have to go and study? Okay, after trying medicine and surgery, and I couldn't get it, I had to sit myself down, think through, like, okay, is this actually someone else's dream for me or actually my dream? And then I had to like track myself back to childhood and what I had always wanted and things I was passionate about, which was actually the computer system. I had to like put in for computer science, and fortunately for me, I was able to get an admission. I think at my first trial, you can imagine. I did the JAM, did the post-CME, and to the grace of God, I was able to get admission. And in fact, I'm still a student of computer science.
I want to believe that successful people are the ones that are not just, they don't like things fed to them. They like to go for the things that they want, which is what you actually did, which is what you eventually did. Because at the end of the day, sometimes we think about the things that we want to do. Most times what happens is we do not actually do the things that we want to do. We do not actually learn about the goals that we set for ourselves. We do not actually learn more about ourselves, why we even set those goals. And this is me just saying that, it has been a journey for you, from being very confused about your life, growing up when you're not supposed to even grow up as a child, the challenges you went through when you lost your dad. And then you came back from that, being the bigger brother, to your siblings and taking care of things like a man. And then you're here as a content writer and then a founder of Binary Digitals, which is a digital company. So you have, I would say you partly dedicated your life. You've dedicated your life to freelance coaching as well and nurturing young talent. So help me understand why you've chosen to do freelance coaching. Well, freelance coaching, sometimes you would want to say that, you're not just doing the coaching because you're doing charity. If you are, you can help me to understand. So why are you doing freelance coaching? Why are you also nurturing young talent to ensure that they also find their path through writing?
I believe things don't just happen in life by mistake. And one of them is freelance coaching. So this freelance coaching of a thing is something I never personally sat down to think myself and be like, I want to become a coach and all that. It was simply an inspiration. And I believe it is an inspiration from God. Because there was this particular day in the early morning and I was heading towards my place of prayer. I wanted to go and pray. And then the idea just struck me, to be candid. It wasn't something I deliberately said that, okay, I want to be making money. I want to become a full-time freelance coach, start making profits off people by teaching them what I know. It was simply an idea from God. It's an inspiration from God. I was just walking towards my place of prayer that early morning, I think around past 6 a.m. or to 6 rather. And then the idea just came to me like, Abdullah, start teaching people how to write. Start teaching people freelancing. And I just felt that urge, that need to start doing that. And to the grace of God, it has been a wonderful journey. Of course, you have to collect some form of compensation, not essentially for yourself, but because of those that want to learn. Because one thing I've discovered in life is people don't value free things. We actually think we value free things, but we don't. But something you actually pay for, you value it, you take your time to it, but only just a little of us, just a little amount of human beings actually value something that is free. They know that what I'm actually getting is something of value. I have to take it seriously. So collecting money from people to learn freelancing, in fact, to learn writing is more or less like, okay, let them be committed towards what they actually want to learn. So for someone like me that runs a digital agency, Binary Digitals, freelance coaching is not a full-time thing for me. It's just a way of helping people become self-sufficient. And of course, I know what I went through when I lost my dad. So having a skill is one of the best things anyone can actually have in this life. So why not help people growing up before life actually happens to them? Why not teach them what the marketplace is like? So I don't just teach people writing. Okay, you can actually be a graphic designer. You can come to me to learn freelancing. Okay. It is one thing to have a skill. It is one thing to know how to sell your skill to the market, to know what the market wants, to know how to use your markets to be of benefit, your skill to be of benefit to the market. So freelance coaching isn't a full-time thing for me, but I ensure I, as much as possible, impact people and give them as much knowledge as I can.
Yeah, so this wants me to think that at the end of the day, what you went through, it will not be that you're the only person going through that. There's still a lot of young people that are going through a series of things, which you have dedicated your life to help them to figure out their own life as well, so that they are not going to go through the same thing you went through. Even if they are going through that, for them to come out of it on time. And that's just some level of love for people and the kindness that you're showing people in your community, well, with what you have as a skill, right? And that is highly commendable. So is there any moment, a memorable story for the coaching that you've had with several people that, hey, this is one story that I will never forget?
Well, to be candid, I have a lot of stories. Oh, I have a lot of them, and I think one of the biggest one was, okay, when I started I think I believe I started teaching people how to become a freelance writer in 2020 or 2019. So one of my very first students just came to my DM after some years, and she was like, okay, that day I was complaining on my WhatsApp that people just come, they complain, they rant about the situation of the economy, but what exactly are you also doing? You are not willing to learn. All you do is just spend hours, waste your time on social media. Why not learn skill? Why not do this for yourself? Why not be of benefits to humanity? And then you see the reward. And then my students just came to my DM and be like, boss, tell them more. In fact, tell them to come and buy your freelance writing course. And then she sent me a picture of a Toyota Matrix. I'm like, what? So are you telling me you've gotten the cash? I was like, yes. So that she recently got a car and all of that. It has been a wonderful experience. So that is just one of the stories. That is just one among many stories of people that I've been able to learn writing, and I've been making money from it consistently. So I think that's one of the ones I remember. And then, of course, there was this day I sent anonymous what's it called, to my WhatsApp status, and they were like, a couple of people sent their message and be like, they were forever grateful for the time they decided to learn content writing from me. So I believe it's all of God's work. So it wasn't something I actually wanted to do. It wasn't something that was strategic. Okay, how can I be making money? It gets off. It was like an inspiration from God. Okay, start teaching out people how to write. In fact, the very first what's it called? The very first training I had, I think I collected 2.5 from people, and part of those people that learned it that time was this particular student I told you her story. In fact, she's still a student. She's studying pharmacy in the University of Lagos, but she has become so independent that whenever things are, she's able to feed herself. You get that kind of thing.
Support the family.
Support the family and all of that. So it's been really fulfilling for me personally. It's been really fulfilling for me because at the end of the day, it's not just what you get personally, but seeing other people happy, that makes you even more happier and fulfilling.
Yes. There's this kind of refreshment that comes to your mind when someone tells you that, hey, what you did, the help you render to me, the skill that you helped me to learn is helping my life today. And I'll tell you a very short story. I was on the street of Lagos around Ikeja. I came back into Ikeja that very day, and I was on the street. I was taking a walk, and then I saw somebody that I used to work with far back 2015. And at the time, I thought this guy back then, I thought in digital marketing, and I was using his office in exchange to teach him digital marketing. He was giving me his office space to use for free. And by that, I was also teaching digital marketing. And I was working from his office and all of that. So after I taught him digital marketing, life changed, and then moving from where I was to where I am right now. And I met that guy that day. The first thing he told me is, Hafiz, if not because you taught me digital marketing, I don't think that I would have anything to do to even feed my family during the pandemic. everything on zero. Everything I knew was not working. And it was that time that businesses want to come online. It was that time that businesses are struggling to just want to bring everything that they have online, even organizations. So it was very well positioned at that time to help businesses and even organizations and people. Okay. So when he saw me, he was like, I never knew I'm going to even see you, because we do not even talk like that anymore. We only chat. We only chat, and then he responds to my WhatsApp status. So, in some way, the help that we render to people that are in need at the point that we don't even know how very much they need the help, but we did it anyway.
Exactly.
Sometimes it goes a very, very long way. So it's very refreshing when you kind of tell the stories of the impacts that you're making. And these are the things that we're talking about, how young people are making impacts with the capacity that they have. You don't have to have everything in the world before you're able to render support and help, right? So, looking forward to the future, what is next for Abdullah? What are you most excited about looking into the future?
Well, I'm excited about a lot of things, and I believe I'm this person that believes the future looks bright, so I'm very optimistic about the future. Currently, I'm still a student of the University of Lagos, and I'm still studying computer science. So it's not pretty easy shuffling school and running a business. It's been pretty challenging, but I believe after finishing school, I would have more time to myself to implement a lot of ideas that I have in mind as to building my digital businesses that I have. So for now, I'm still I just want to leave this school. I think that's what's on my mind right now. Yeah. So, but I believe the future.
Right. So all right. So you are very optimistic about the future, and then, well, obviously the future looks bright. You are a person who truly believes in education, who believes in being useful for yourself and being useful to the world and to your community. So, to all other aspiring content writer out there, what message do you have? Even other young people like yourself, what message do you have for them?
Number one, find a mentor. Like people tell you there's no shortcut to success. There's no shortcut to success. I believe that's a big lie. The shortcut to success is by finding a mentor and doing exactly what they do and what they tell you to do. So that's shortcut to success. So whatever you want to do is, regardless of whatever it is, it could be writing, it could be programming, it could be setting up your own business, it could be fashion design, whatever you want to do. Very, very first and foremost, you find a mentor, and then keep learning. You keep learning. Life is all about learning. You can't. There's this popular quote that says, "The day you stop learning is the day you start the day you start dying." So the day you stop learning is the day you start dying. So never stop learning, because this, especially in this digital world we are, a lot of things like keep sprouting up very, very fast. So life is moving very, very fast. So you cannot afford to not be a student. So never stop learning, be committed, find what you actually love doing, because that's one of the most important things. If you eventually become frustrated and depressed and all of that, so find what you love doing by testing the waters. You try this, try that, and find a mentor.
I personally believe that great people have some kind of inspiration. They have a place that they draw inspiration from. And sometimes it could be from a book. Sometimes it could be from just a person directly. Sometimes it could be from the universe, just the world, just people experiencing things. So could you share a book that has changed your life?
I have lots of books I can share, but I think I'll just give out two. Let me just give out two. Number one is Think and Grow Rich. I believe I read that the very first time I read that book was when I was in secondary school. So Think and Grow Rich really opened my eyes to a lot of things. So it's not just the book essentially is not just about becoming rich here. You can actually implement the lessons in that book into every other aspect of your life. So Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Let me be generous tonight. Let me give two more. The second one is Think and Grow Rich. For those that want to become business people, if you actually want to go into the business world, you want to be self-employed, you want to become an employer of labor, you should grab Think and Grow Rich by Robert Kiyosaki and all of his book. And I think the most transformative one is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. That book is a very, very valuable book. Not very popular, but no, the lessons are fantastic. So that's the third one. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy.
Thank you for sharing that. And, we are coming to the end of this very interview. And we are going to end this with a quote by Albert Einstein. He says, life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. And this is me just saying that by this quote by Albert Einstein, when you said you have to keep learning, the bicycle that he's talking about is, all the roller coaster, the successes that you want, all of the goals that you set, right? You have to keep riding, you have to keep moving if you want to achieve that. So,
absolutely.
So it also applies to you. And this is me still saying that I commend you for your resilience. I commend you for your consistency. I commend you for being very strong in the beginning of the time when you're supposed to be down, when you're supposed to be very confused, picking yourself back up from where you were to where you are today. And, again, I'm celebrating the amazing people, amazing young people that are doing great things, that are making some level of impact, and you are one of them. And I'm saying that Africa is proud of you and the world is proud of you, and we wait for the great things that you're going to do. So thank you very much, Abdullah, for coming on to talk to us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a big pleasure. Thank you so much.